On the seventh day, when I was too poor to pay the rent, a dirty little boy grabbed the corner of my clothes. A large number of barrages suddenly appeared in front of my eyes. Ah, it's our lucky star, David. Whoever picks him up will be blessed with good fortune. He was born with a lucky physique, but he was transferred 7 times. Those people abandoned David after they became rich. Wow, how pitiful. After I realized what was happening, I hugged David and kissed him several times. Oh my God, I really found a treasure. The story is about to begin. If you like it, remember to like and follow. That night, as usual, I pushed the fried noodle cart back home and fried myself a bowl of vegetarian noodles without meat downstairs at home. Messages from the landlord urging rent payment popped up one after another. You are already a whole week late on your rent. I'll give you 3 more days. If you still don't transfer the money, pack up and get out. Suddenly, I became so anxious that I lost my appetite and began to have dark thoughts. Ah, business is still terrible today. If it continues like this, I'm really going to have to sleep on the street. Or I can go rob a bank, then I can earn a living by working on a sewing machine. Ha 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 ha, it's impossible not to be crazy when alive. Ha 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 ha. Suddenly a child jumped out from the corner and walked up to me. Sister, I'm hungry. I looked up, was startled, and quickly got up from the ground. With skinny arms, dirty clothes, and pale lips, he clearly looked starving. Damn it, what kind of parents would ruin their child like this? You eat it. I handed him my bowl of vegetarian noodles. He didn't hesitate and took it and stuffed it into his mouth in big gulps. Silly boy, that bowl of food didn't even have much salt in it, but he ate it so happily. I walked to the front of the car, relit the fire, found half a sausage and 2 handfuls of bean sprouts, and cracked an egg into the pot. The oil pan was sizzling and the aroma of eggs was filling the air. I threw in a handful of wide noodles, stirred them with an iron spoon, poured in soy sauce and MSG, and finally sprinkled a handful of chopped green onions and served. It's not enough, sister has more. I came over with the bowl. The fried noodles were steaming with good color, aroma, and taste. The little boy's eyes were shining and he kept swallowing his saliva, but he didn't move for a long time. I was wondering, and he spoke cautiously, is it true, for me to eat? The familiar feeling of testing made my nose sore, and I smiled and nodded, be careful of the heat. Only after getting my permission did he start to eat voraciously. After eating and drinking, I decided to send him home. It is very dangerous for a child to hang out outside so late. But he was unwilling to leave. He hesitated for a long time before grabbing the corner of my clothes. In an instant, a large number of comments appeared in front of my eyes. Ah, it's our little lucky star hero. Come on, give Auntie a kiss. Whoever picks him up will be blessed with good fortune. Linda, the noodle maker, will also become rich. He was born with a lucky physique, but he was transferred 7 times. Those people abandoned him after they became rich. Wow, how pitiful. Those words "get rich and have good luck" gave me a rush of adrenaline. I couldn't help but blink and found that the comments were still scrolling. Linda, please adopt the little lucky star. He hadn't eaten for 3 days before he met you. The guy above, are you serious? She just rolled on the ground and seems to be in a bad mental state. Can she take good care of our little boy? The comments were noisy, and I excitedly hugged him in my arms and kissed him several times. Oh my God, I really found a treasure. Kid, are you coming home with your sister? I'll give you enough food. After I brought the child back to my small room of 15 square meters, washed him and changed his clothes, he was already asleep in bed with a frown on his face, and he was not sleeping well. I am fine with being able to see the barrage. After all, in this world where everyone can pick up a succubus and hear their inner voice, it's not surprising to see barrages. By piecing together the comments bit by bit, I realized that this world is actually a male revenge story. The male protagonist has a lucky physique, and people around him will become very lucky. However, after being adopted from an orphanage, each of his parents abandoned him after they became rich, and scolded him as a burden, which led to the male protagonist's childhood being very miserable. When he was 5 years old, the male protagonist was found by a wealthy family and embarked on the road of revenge. He became a business tycoon. Those who abandoned him were either sent to prison or thrown into the sea to feed the fish. And our handsome, strong and tragic male protagonist was trapped in a painful childhood all his life and died alone. How could there be such a pitiful little bitter gourd? I think if there were no barrage, I would still take him home. After all, who can resist the urge to show mercy to a homeless child? Before going upstairs, I squatted down and asked him, "What's your name?" He hesitated for a long time but couldn't say anything. The comments rushed to help him explain. "David, the little lucky star's name is David. Alas, I feel so sad that I have a name that represents hope, but I am trapped in the wet rainy season all my life." Thinking of this, I sighed and gently smoothed his brows. "Sister won't abandon you. I don't know the young master of the David family. I only know that he is a child I picked up. Let's just call him Gavin. The sun and the moon accompany each other, which is brightness. May he be as warm and dazzling as the sun and the moon." The next day, I took Gavin to set up a stall at the entrance of the park. If I was still skeptical about his lucky physique yesterday, today I am completely convinced. In the past, there would only be 1 or 2 customers around noon, but today, from the second I set up the stall, a long queue formed in front of my fried noodle cart. I have never seen such a big scene in my life. He was so busy frying noodles and collecting money at the same time that he was dizzy. At the same time, he could not help but curse secretly. "My damn hands are so slow, stir fry faster." Gavin volunteered to take on the task of delivering the meals. Thanks to him, many old ladies who were dancing in the square nearby stopped dancing when they saw him. I queued for more than half an hour to eat my fried noodles, just to touch his little face. "Girl, how old are you this year? Your son is already this big. He is so rare." I was frying in the frying pan, shouting, "Auntie! You misunderstood. This is my brother. I'm only 20 years old." 20? I have a granddaughter who is also 20 and is in college. I was busy until the evening and my hands were cramped. Gavin stood on tiptoe on a small chair to wipe my sweat. I touched my wallet and it was bulging. I made a lot of money today. After packing up and closing the stall, I held Gavin's hand. "Let's go. Let's get off work early today. Sister will take you to McDonald's." At this time, a black car slowly stopped in front of us. I don't recognize the car logo. It has a pair of small wings, but the person who got off the car was wearing a big gold chain, so I guessed that this car must be very expensive. "Hey, big sister, I heard that the fried noodles you make are delicious?" I gritted my teeth and waved my hands. "Sorry, we have closed the stall." $10,000. The eldest brother was so anxious that he almost cried. $10,000, I'll buy you a serving of fried noodles, okay? My wife had your fried noodles before, but now she can't eat anything in the hospital, so she's been missing this. I gasped in shock. 10,000 yuan. I can't earn that much in 3 months. Is it finally my turn to be so rich? Stop talking, big brother. I'll start working right away. I was afraid that my brother would regret it, so I immediately turned on the fire and added oil, and asked considerately, "Are there any dietary restrictions?" The tears that squeezed out of the eldest brother's eyes had not yet retracted. "Ah, keep it light, my wife just gave birth." A little bit of chopped green onion was sprinkled skillfully and a bowl of fried noodles was ready. I packed it in a plastic bag and bent over 90 degrees towards my brother. "Brother, please keep this. I wish you and your wife a long and happy life together, and may you have 2 children in 3 years. My brother smiled so much that his eyes narrowed into slits, and he transferred me 10,000 yuan on the spot. The barrage was very lively. Look. Fried noodle sister Linda has made a fortune. Thanks to our little lucky star, this is just the beginning, and good luck is still to come. Walking hand in hand with Gavin on the way to McDonald's, my back straightened for the first time because I had money. We are also rich enough to eat at McDonald's. Gavin's face was filled with uncontrollable excitement. Sister, what is McDonald's? I pondered for a moment. It's the place that sells hamburgers and fries. Gavin nodded, as if he understood. What do the hamburgers and fries taste like? Are they better than my sister's fried noodles? Hamburgers and fries taste just like hamburgers and fries, right? As for whether they taste better than my sister's fried noodles, I think there should be. After all, I saw those kids walking out of McDonald's, all of them were smiling so happily. I ordered 2 deluxe meal packages for Gavin using my phone. The little guy ate so much that tears came out. It's delicious. After a while, most of the food on the table was cleared out. We walked home hand in hand. I noticed that he was particularly depressed after eating McDonald's. When asked what happened, Gavin cried in his childish voice, "Sister, please don't leave me." Thousands of comments suddenly appeared. Before Xiao Fuxing's parents abandoned him, they always took him out to eat delicious food. He now feels insecure. After the wonderful experience, there was a cruel abandonment. The male protagonist grew up in such an environment. I knew this fried noodle lady Linda was not a good person. I was shocked. How could that be? Sister will never abandon you. Gavin was stunned for a moment and cried even louder. Why are you so nice to me? I squatted down, hugged him and kissed his fair and clean little face. Because you're worth it. In the past, I lived just to be able to pay the rent and have something to eat. Now, I seem to have a more specific goal. Lucky people are healed by their childhood throughout their lives, while unlucky people use their lives to heal their childhood. Since I chose to adopt him, I will give him a happy childhood and lead him out of the haze and out of the dampness. The barrage is right, good luck is yet to come. After waiting in long queues at the fried noodle cart for a few days, I became an internet celebrity. Millions of internet celebrities live streamed in front of my stall, and different people appeared on camera to advertise for me spontaneously. A young lady with gray hair cried and said, "Since I ate their fried noodles, I can finally sleep well." The man wearing sunglasses was lying on the fried noodle cart begging for a franchise. "After I finish eating your noodles, my white moonlight and I will be back together." Several food bloggers came to me and paid huge tuition fees just to learn my cooking skills. Just like that, with the help of my lucky star physique, I transformed from the impoverished fried noodles sister Linda to the wealthy boss Linda. By the way, my name is Linda, because I was born on a rainy day. It's just such a perfunctory name, but as an ordinary person, no one will care and no one will remember it. After finishing a day's work, I lay on the bed and immediately transferred 3 months' rent in advance to the landlord. The next second, the landlord returned the money to me. My son got into college. All tenants are exempt from rent for half a year, rose rose rose. It all feels like a dream. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I was almost laughing my ass off as I counted the 7-digit balance in my phone. A poor man suddenly became rich, and so much money was given to me that I suddenly didn't know how to spend it. But I know that even if I suffer, I cannot let my children suffer. So, when I was struggling between buying a car or a house, I chose to send Gavin to the most expensive kindergarten. Gavin is 5 years old this year. Compared with other children of the same age, he is 2 years late. I took him to meet the kindergarten teachers. When the kindergarten principal saw the scar on his arm, his eyes turned fierce and he looked like he wanted to pull out his cell phone to call the police. The child has suffered a lot, right? I quickly explained what had happened to Gavin before, and swore firmly that I would never treat the child badly in the slightest, and only then did they soften their expressions and move away from Gavin. I felt a little relieved. In a school like this, Gavin shouldn't be bullied. In order to help Gavin integrate into kindergarten life smoothly, I picked him up and dropped him off on time every day, and even baked cookies for him to share with his classmates. The comments indicated that I was overthinking. "Linda, you are really making me cry. The male protagonist of Little Lucky Star has become a big shot in school, and you are still worried that he doesn't fit in. Go, a good sister like Linda. I also want to eat Ultraman-shaped cookies. It's so funny. Linda, I guess you don't know that all the cookies I stuffed into my pockets every day when I went to school were used by these kids to fight. Zero and Tiga are having a lot of fun fighting." I said nothing, but just stuffed a few more Mebius into the box. Although there are delicious nutritious meals and afternoon tea cakes in school, Gavin still likes to pester me to make him a bowl of fried noodles with extra eggs every day after school. "You kid, don't you get tired of eating it every day? My sister's fried noodles are the best in the world. I will never get tired of them." The days are uneventful and the balance is growing. In the blink of an eye, a year has passed. Every night I am used to taking a look at the barrage before going to bed. Compared to the initial anxiety and heartache, the current comments also show a peaceful and tranquil life. Isn't this story about revenge? Why is the male protagonist clamoring for fried noodles every day? The child is still young, so let him eat. I think the sibling relationship is more interesting now. The dark little bitter melon has finally been redeemed and turned into a sunny little boy. Although life is getting better and better, there is always a vague sense of uneasiness lingering in my heart. I seem to have forgotten something, but I can't remember what it is. I finally knew what I had forgotten. The story of the wealthy family recognizing each other comes late but arrives. I was telling Gavin a bedtime story when his family came to our house. Yes, this child has been spoiled by me now. Not only does he need stories to put him to sleep at night, but he also needs stories when he wakes up. A man in a suit and tie appeared in our cramped rental house, and even the air seemed thinner. He stared at me and threw out a DNA report and a check. Linda, this is a check for $2 million. Thank you for taking care of my brother during this time. I'm here to take him home now. The barrage exploded at this time. Oh my God. The rich family's recognition of their relatives is finally here. Why didn't anyone tell me that the male lead's brother Andy is so handsome? Tonic medicine, I don't want little Lucky Star to be separated from my sister. My body was shaking slightly. I didn't expect this day to come. I don't even need to look at the DNA report because Andy and Gavin's faces are so similar. But I don't know where I got the courage from, and I subconsciously protected Gavin behind me. A nameless anger rose. You are the child's brother? You didn't show up when the child was suffering? And now you want to take the child back? As expected of a wealthy CEO, his expression did not change at all in the face of my questioning. Linda, I think I'm paying you well enough. Anne. His eyes looked around our little house. I don't think you have the financial means to raise a child well. David is a member of the David family. It is inevitable that he will return to the David family. I hope you can consider this carefully. You don't want things to get awkward between us, do you? After he said that, he left, leaving me a gold-plated business card. I fell weakly on the sofa, my mind was in a mess. The comments were also noisy. What happened to Linda, the fried noodle girl? Her brother even came to visit her. That's right. Even if she raised the little boy for a whole year, she has no right to stop him from returning to his family. You are all so cold-blooded. Anyone would be reluctant to do so. The little boy is also unwilling to leave his sister. Why doesn't anyone say that it was the David family that separated them? Gavin grabbed the corner of my clothes tightly, his eyes red. Gavin, do you want to go with him? Go back to your real family. He shook his head desperately. I don't want to leave my sister. Thinking of something, his face suddenly turned pale. Are you going to abandon me, sister? Sister doesn't want me anymore? I touched his head and made him loosen his bitten lower lip. How is that possible? I promised you that I would never abandon you. I asked for leave from kindergarten for him and took him to the amusement park. Gavin felt relieved because of my promise and had a lot of fun in the amusement park. I know that Gavin is a good boy who values feelings very much. As long as he can be with me, it doesn't matter what happens to him. I put a Mickey headband on him and took lots of pictures. After watching a grand fireworks show, Gavin fell asleep on my back. I called the number on the business card. Andy arrived quickly. Gavin really wants to be with me forever. But, I put him, who was sleeping soundly, into Andy's arms. He turned and left without looking back. The moment I turned around, tears burst into tears. I hope he won't hate me in the future. After sending David away, I spent a long time in a daze. I locked myself in the rental house and looked through the photos I took at the amusement park. I wonder if he will hate me. It's okay to hate me. At least he can start a better new life, and I will be content. I only found out after work resumed. It turns out that without the little Lucky Star, the corresponding good luck will be taken away. The fried noodle stall business was slow and the franchise stores also closed down one after another. The students who once paid money to study with me scolded me as a liar and asked me to return my money. The water pipe in my rental house burst and I was forced to move. That day, a car stopped in front of my fried noodle stall. The familiar black color, the familiar winged logo. I threw away the spatula and ran as fast as I could, pushing the fried noodle cart. But I didn't expect that I was running in front and he was chasing me in the car from behind. After all, Two legs can't outrun four wheels. Watching the car getting closer and closer. I closed my eyes and clasped my hands together. Brother, please forgive me. We are just a small business. We agreed that it was consensual. Otherwise, I will compensate you with 2 bowls of fried noodles. But please don't arrest me for 10,000 yuan. Who wants to arrest you? A deep, magnetic voice interrupted me. I looked up and was stunned. Andy? Why is he here? Andy had a complicated look in his eyes and pointed to the cafe across the street. Shall we talk? In the cafe, Andy didn't rush to talk to me. Instead, he slowly asked me what I wanted to drink. The little boy sneaked out to look for Linda last night. The eldest brother didn't sleep all night and only found her this morning. Little Fuxing slept at the door of his former rental house for the whole night. My heart was broken. When I saw the barrage, I felt sad and guilty. Gavin. Wrong, is David okay now? Andy shook his head, seeming to ponder his words. After waiting for a while, he pushed a card to me. Here's 5 million. During this period, he refused to eat or drink and kept clamoring to see you. He can't leave you, so I want you to come back to him. This long paragraph made my heart rate soar to 180. I covered my heart, afraid that I would faint from excessive excitement. How much? Not enough? You can add more. I put the card into my pocket without hesitation. How can this person come to separate us? This person is simply my god of wealth and living Buddha. This is so cool. How is this different from pie falling from the sky? Little Lucky Star can be reunited with his sister again, and the family should be complete. That's 5 million. You're so lucky, I was allowed to act in 2 episodes. Finally we reached an agreement. Moved into David's family as a childcare expert. There was only one job, to take good care of David. The David family's mansion is ridiculously large. There will also be music played in the fountain pool. At night, the garden is still brightly lit. TSK, doesn't this waste electricity? In the living room of the villa, I saw David, who had lost a lot of weight. When he saw me, his eyes instantly turned red. I was suddenly afraid to face him because I was homesick. I had to lower my head to hide my tears. But he cried and threw himself into my arms. Sister, I can't find you. That night, my sister and I hugged each other and cried bitterly. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Andy turn his head and wipe his eyes. After careful discussion, we decided to change the name Gavin to David's nickname. Although David was as heartless as before after I came back, I knew he had become even more insecure. Every night he would come over with a pillow and sleep with me. Every time he goes to school, he will hold my hand to confirm whether I will come to pick him up after school. I even didn't dare to be picky about food anymore, and I would obediently eat up the stir-fried bitter gourd with green peppers that the kitchen accidentally served. I asked him to spit it out, but he covered his mouth and shook his head. If Gavin doesn't behave, my sister will abandon me. My heart was softened. I told him, sister will not abandon you, and Gavin is not allowed to wrong himself. If you think you can only gain love by forcing yourself to do things you don't like, then such love is meaningless. No matter if you are a picky eater or don't like doing homework, even if Gavin can only bake sweet potatoes when he grows up, I will always love you unconditionally because we are family. This time, I heard a loud bang behind me. Andy stood there, with countless broken glass under his feet. I just realized that I rarely run into Andy since I moved here. He seems to be very busy at work, leaving home early and returning late every day. Originally this was his home, but he lived like a transparent person. In the middle of the night, I broke free from David's octopus hug and went to the kitchen to pour a cup of hot water, but ran into Andy who had just walked in. I looked at the clock in the living room, 2 in the morning. Does he work so late every day? The man held his haute couture suit in one hand and untied his tie with the other, his eyes filled with fatigue. Shashasha, Big Brother has such a good figure. He is worthy of being a member of David's family. This is the feeling of a social animal. Oh, speaking of feeling good. Does anyone think Andy and Linda are a good match? He. The barrage of comments made my face turn red. Big sister, this is not acceptable. Taking anything will only harm you. Have you got a meal yet? I asked softly. There was no light in the living room. In the darkness, the man was stunned for a moment. No need to bother. Let me make you a bowl of fried noodles. From the refrigerator, I took out 2 eggs and a large piece of chopped beef. I'll make you some fried beef noodles today. Because Gavin likes to eat, there is never a shortage of ingredients for making fried noodles at home. Andy wanted to say something, but when he smelled the familiar fragrance, his expression relaxed and he obediently walked to the island counter and sat down. When the freshly made fried beef noodles were served on the table, I saw him secretly swallowing his saliva. He took the chopsticks and ate elegantly but inhaled rapidly. For some unknown reason, I couldn't help but speak. Do you often work this late? Alas, my eldest brother is also a little bitter. It's not his fault. Has no one noticed that he still doesn't dare to approach his brother? He is also blaming himself. Andy, even his name is not favored. What crime did our eldest brother commit? Amid the barrage of comments, Andy put down his chopsticks. Would you like to hear a story from me? When Andy was 18, his younger brother was born. In such a joyful atmosphere, Andy, who had always received elite education, mustered up the courage to invite his parents to attend his graduation ceremony for the first time. Flowers, salutes. Before the ceremony was over, David's family received bad news. The young master was stolen. Once, David's family fired a nanny who stole things. The nanny held a grudge and abandoned the young master in the wilderness. David's family arrested the nanny immediately, but the nanny would rather bite her tongue and commit suicide than tell them David's whereabouts. So, David's parents who lost their child blamed Andy for all their resentment. If it weren't for your crappy ceremony, would anything have happened to your brother? It's the 3rd year since David disappeared. In order to find his whereabouts, David's parents boarded a flight to the north. There is the largest children's welfare home in the country. But the plane crashed. Overnight, Andy was the only one left in David's family. On the day he went to claim the body, Andy cried until he lost his voice. Gavin didn't feel much love when they were alive. But why do I feel so sad after they die? Andy, amidst the endless abuse, began to hate himself. If it weren't for him, my brother wouldn't have been stolen. If it weren't for him, my parents wouldn't have died. He covered his red eyes. To be honest, I envy David. At least he met you. I once thought that if I found my brother, I could die in peace. Can't. I raised my arms and hugged him tightly. Your brother still needs you, and you still have family in this world. This is not your fault, please don't punish yourself. I felt his slightly trembling body gradually calm down. I am not good at comforting others. When I was having a hard time before, I even had trouble comforting myself. So, after saying this, I patted him on the shoulder and prepared to leave. The next second, he held my wrist and rubbed it gently, as fragile as a wet puppy. Can I still eat your fried noodles tomorrow? Since that day, I have prepared 2 lunchboxes every morning. One for David and one for Andy. The man took the lunchbox with a gentle expression, but when he opened it he was so angry that he laughed out loud. I took David's hand and quickly fled the scene. Hey, so what if he's a domineering CEO? Doesn't he still have to eat carrots in the shape of Peppa Pig? He came home earlier and earlier, and the fried noodles he had at midnight became cups of hangover soup for when he came back from social events. He said he didn't know how to face David, so I taught him how to please him and how to get along with children. That night, I waited in the kitchen for him to come home as usual. When Andy came back, there was an abnormal flush on his face. I immediately supported him and touched his forehead with the back of my hand. You have a fever. After a stagger, he leaned weakly on me. His hot breath fell on my neck. I'm fine. I dragged him to the bed and took out the antipyretic medicine from the medicine box. Andy was unusually obedient, holding my hand and swallowing the medicine. I put a baby fever patch on his forehead and unbuttoned his shirt. He suddenly grabbed my hand and coughed violently. Why are you so nice to me? His eyes were too revealing for me to look directly at. I want to say that I am also very nice to David. But he seemed to see through my thoughts and chuckled. You mean, you give your all to David as well? In your heart, am I the same as David? He was almost going insane due to the fever, but he still stubbornly wanted an answer. My heart was beating wildly. I stuffed the wet towel into his hands and fled. He held my waist precisely. His voice was hoarse from the heat. Stay, keep me company. Neither of us mentioned that night. Every night when we met in the kitchen, we would just chat about David's education issues in a businesslike manner. Like a pair of ordinary friends, we tacitly maintained the delicate balance between us. Where I couldn't see, the relationship between the two brothers was growing stronger. I passed by David's room and heard Andy's deep voice coming from the cozy little room. From then on, they lived happily together. I was surprised. No wonder David hasn't been pestering me to tell him stories recently. It turns out this is the reason. After telling the story, Andy covered David with a blanket. David tugged at his shirt. "Brother, can you squat down?" Andy leaned forward slightly. The child smacked him on the face. "Thank you, brother." When Andy came out with a red face, he saw me leaning against the wall and smiling at him. "What are you laughing at?" He raised an eyebrow at me. I patted his shoulder with relief. "Nothing, I just feel that you are like a real good brother now." He grabbed my hand on his shoulder and forcefully inserted his fingers into mine. Fingers interlocked. "You taught me well." The days have been getting more and more comfortable recently, if my body could hold up a little better. Frequent stomach pains made me pale. We were all eating breakfast together at the dining table, and I covered my mouth and ran to the bathroom. He held onto the sink and vomited violently. Looking at the bright red blood in front of me, I couldn't control my panic. I felt bitter in my heart. Is this the fate of the poor? Even if you have money, you don't have the life to enjoy it. When I opened the door, Andy and David were standing at the door with eyes full of heartache. "Let's go to the hospital." I suppressed the pain in my stomach and forced a smile. "It's okay, it's an old problem. I don't like going to the hospital." In other words, no poor person likes to go to the hospital. Stir-fried noodle sister Linda, stop holding on and go get checked. Author, my car light is broken, please help me check it. The comments scrolled wildly, and I pretended not to see them. Under my strong insistence, the two brothers had no choice. Andy looked at me seriously. "If you still feel uncomfortable, be sure to tell me." I took the initiative to hold his hand and shook it, trying to get away with it. After they left, I put on a mask and secretly went to a small clinic. After listening to my description of my condition, the doctor looked serious. "Girl, I suggest you go to a big hospital. This symptom is likely to be stomach cancer." This sentence declared that my last hope was shattered. No need to check again. Because my mother died of stomach cancer. I am just an ordinary person. She has the life experience of a heroine, but she does not have the halo of a heroine. My father was a gambler, my mother died early, and I was kicked out at the age of 18 to become self-reliant. I dropped out of school after junior high school, and I had only seen McDonald's, KFC, on the streets. Thanks to David, that day was the first time I knew what French fries tasted like. I sat on a park bench and cried and cursed God for 2 hours. Booked a flight to Iceland. In fact, it doesn't matter where you go, as long as you're far away from David's family. These two little bitter gooses have worked so hard to redeem themselves, so I won't add any more bad luck to them. The flight was 1 month later, so I had the opportunity to spend David's 7th birthday with him. On David's birthday, I made him a chocolate cake. I wanted to leave a good memory for David, so I made several versions of the same cake. But until the end, the happy birthday written in cream was still crooked. Alas, maybe this cake is just like my life, destined to be imperfect. I forced myself to endure the stomachache and made them 2 bowls of fried noodles. Add more eggs to 1 bowl and more beef to 1 bowl. Andy gave David a Lego building block that was taller than a person. The child was so happy that he ran around the living room. Although my cake didn't look very good, David was still very supportive. He snuggled into my arms and made a wish. "Cross your fingers and blow out the candles." I touched his now chubby little face. "David, you have grown up and become a man who can accept separation. I want to tell you." A sudden sharp pain came over me. My eyes went dark and I covered my stomach, fainting from the pain. "Linda!" At the last moment of losing consciousness, I heard Andy scream. When I woke up in the hospital, the first voice I heard was Andy's. His words trembled slightly with fear. "Linda, wake up. Don't be afraid, I'm here. You'll be fine. You haven't heard me say I like you yet." I squeezed his hand back with all my strength and opened my eyes. I heard everything. It's a pity that I can't keep walking with you. In his other hand, he held the diagnosis form from the small clinic. There is only one sentence on it. Suspected gastric cancer. He knows what I'm talking about. David saw me wake up with a tear-stained face. Sister, are you still in pain? It's Gavin's fault. It was Gavin who made my sister tired. Gavin made a wish. Gavin wants his sister to live 100 years. I raised my hand and touched his head. If it weren't for them, I might not even have the money to lie in this hospital bed. Meeting them is the happiest day of my life. The doctor suddenly burst in. The test results came out. It was severe gastritis caused by long-term irregular diet. In the near future, family members should take good care of the patient and eat a light diet. I didn't react for a moment. Andy came forward and hugged me, choking with sobs. It's all right, it's all right. David also came over and cheered. Gavin's wish came true. Gavin won't eat snacks anymore. Gavin wants to use all the money to treat his sister's illness. After surviving the disaster, I slowly let out a breath. So, gastric cancer was a misdiagnosis. Can I still be alive? David leaned over and whispered in my ear. Sister, I secretly kissed your forehead when you were asleep. The little guy smiled slyly. I was reminded and cleared my throat. Andy, you can't deny it. Andy wiped away his tears and suddenly knelt on one knee. Not as David's brother, but as his lover. Will you marry me? The comments exploded into fireworks, all pointing at Andy and Linda are together. Great. It was a misdiagnosis. We are saved. I'm so scared. I hope Xiao Fuxing and his brothers and sisters will always be happy. Promise him. Promise him. Amid the blessings of the group of people, I smiled and nodded. Suddenly, I recalled the night when I first met David. It turns out that the real good luck from heaven is that we meet each other. I hugged David, who was clapping and cheering, and kissed him several times. You are really my little lucky star. Because of the collapse of the plot, this male revenge story eventually turned into a wife-chasing crematorium literature. David, who has become a business tycoon, is coaxing the crying canary in a villa in the suburbs. The little girl sobbed and cried. When people praise their girlfriends, they always say something like a fragrant and soft little cake. Why do you call me a fragrant fried egg rice noodle? The boss David scratched his head in confusion, but fried egg noodles are better than cupcakes.